Hello and welcome to all of you watching. I'm Julia Seeger and this is Tech24. In this edition, we take a look at companies that are working to change the way we shop, helping us reduce not only waste, but also the carbon footprint of food delivery. We'll also touch on the concept of the 15-minute city, where all services are within 15 minutes of your home for a better quality of life. The city of Paris has adopted this principle that states that access, not mobility, should guide urban planning decisions. But first, a court battle pitting Apple against the game maker Epic is now in the hands of a judge. The maker of Fortnite is suing Apple, arguing that the tech giant's App Store is a monopoly and that it charges exorbitant fees for in-app purchases.
It's a legal standoff with billions of dollars at stake. Apple's CEO Tim Cook in federal court, forced to answer accusations that the company is running its App Store as an illegal monopoly. Epic, the maker of games such as Fortnite, sued Apple after its game was kicked off the App Store last year. Epic objected to the 30% commission it was forced to pay on downloads of its app in the App Store and on purchases made inside the games. Epic wants to put its own store on Apple devices, and in the suit it argued that Apple unfairly shuts out the competition because it doesn't allow other app stores on its phones.
And at the heart of this question is whether or not Apple can limit competition to its App Store. Whether Apple can say, we're going to be the only App Store, we're going to be the only quality control check on the apps that come through, and you always have to pay us some tax.
On the witness stand, Tim Cook defended the practice, saying it would be akin to Apple down at Best Buy, saying Best Buy put a sign there where we are advertising that you can go across the street and get an iPhone. Cook also said it was a question of security, saying that iOS is much more effective against malware as compared to other platforms. U.S. District Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers could take no action at all or order an overhaul to Apple's App Store. Her decision is expected in a matter of weeks or months.
Now, you may have seen it in supermarkets across France. Loop is a circular economy platform that is looking to tackle waste. Its aim is to change the way the world shops, offering consumers their favorite brands, but in refillable packaging. Reuse is one way forward, among others, to help plan for a more sustainable future. For more on this, let's cross over to Mark Violo. Hello, Mark, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, Julia. Thank you so much for having me.
So you're the head of marketing over at Loop. Tell us how the system works.
So Loop is a project that came out of a really innovative recycling company called TerraCycle. And TerraCycle and Loop's mission is to eliminate the idea of waste. So we all know we have a huge waste crisis to deal with, and that recycling is a good solution, but it's really not enough. And so what we really believe is that reuse is the answer to solving this crisis. And so Loop is effectively helping brands and retailers to manufacture products in reusable containers that will be sold to consumers with a deposit attached to it. So similarly to how our grandparents used to do with milk, for example. And then when they return their products, they're going to get the deposit back. We'll clean these containers, and then we'll simply put them back in the Loop. And our goal is really to make it as easy, convenient, and affordable for consumers.
Okay, now, Mark, what I'm also understanding here is that it's not just about helping individual manufacturers reduce waste, but it's also about creating an ecosystem to make returning items as convenient as possible.
You're absolutely right. You know, the only way reuse is really going to succeed is if we allow consumers to buy these products anywhere they want and to return them anywhere they want. So this is why with Loop, we're creating these partnerships with a variety of partners in different industries, from your mainstream supermarkets, Tesco in the UK, Carrefour in France, but also to fast food chains and restaurants such as McDonald's, Burger King, and even in the B2B space, such as Metro in France. And the idea here is, buy a coffee at your McDonald's in a reusable cup, and then drop it on your way to work in a collection point in a Carrefour supermarket.
Now, Mark, what are the main launches for Loop in the months to come?
So the big launches that are currently happening is scaling up with our existing Carrefour retailer. So in France, we opened in December with 10 stores. We're now opening to more formats, so from supermarkets to hypermarkets. And we're also increasing the number of stores, really trying to get to the economies of scale we need to get prices down and to make it accessible to all. On top of that, we're also launching, we just launched in Japan with Aeon, and we're launching in the United States with Kroger and Walgreens. We're launching pilots with McDonald's in the UK. So yeah, a lot coming on.
Mark Viallo, thank you very much for that.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Julia.
Now, on the topic of groceries, home deliveries are only getting quicker. And let me now turn to our tech editor, Peter O'Brien. Hello, Peter.
Hello, Julia.
We're going to be talking about how to reduce the carbon footprint in just a minute. But first, I'd like to have your opinion. What do you think about Loop?
I think it's a fantastic idea if they can scale it up like that. And I'm just imagining how it could slot into this next concept we're going to talk about. It's bike delivery services that can deliver your groceries in around 15 minutes. So one of them is this company called Caju. This is one of their bikes used by their delivery riders, and they popped up in all sorts of different cities around France, and they're what's called a dark store. So this means that they have their own fulfillment centers instead of public facing shops, and they have their own inventory of products, and unlike many delivery services, their riders are actually salaried. Their two main selling points then are the fact that there's no markup on products compared to supermarkets, because of course they avoid all the cost of having customer facing shops, and deliveries, as I said, will only take around 15 minutes, which is a lot quicker than traditional supermarket deliveries.
Now, surely, Peter, it can't be the first time that it's been tried out.
No, and there are lots of similar initiatives popping up all around the world. The UK, for instance, is really becoming a hub for these quick grocery delivery apps. One of them is called Wheezy. You can see it here. But let me tell you a cautionary tale, because these apps would love to take a bite of the big supermarket chains, but they should read the story of Webvan, which emerged in the 1990s and was the first grocery delivery app. Now, it raised $800 million. It started building all sorts of big warehouses, buying loads of trucks, delivery drivers, the rest of it. In 3 years, it was bankrupt. So it's not as simple as it might appear.
Now, looking at this way of shopping and of delivering food, one thing that some people, of course, are pointing out is the fact that you lose contact with your neighborhood and surroundings, and it conflicts with, for instance, the vision that Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, has for the French capital. She actually has been inspired by a concept called La Ville du Quart d'Heure. Let's try and test your French, Peter, on this. What does it translate into?
I think my French can just about handle that one. It's the 15-minute city, of course, and Anne Hidalgo was inspired by a French-Colombian urban planning expert called Carlos Moreno. Let's hear him talk about the concept.
La ville du quart d'heure, en fait, elle s'appuie sur 4 éléments majeurs.
The concept of the 15-minute city is based on 4 main goals that aim to create what is called a happy proximity. One goal is fostering a more environmentally friendly, low-carbon lifestyle. Another is to encourage the exploration of the material resources that are in our community. If we leave our neighbourhood to buy things, we won't see all the resources available to us. Creating a sense of solidarity and social links across generations is also important. It allows us to reclaim the public space where we live. And finally, it encourages civilians to participate in the development of local projects. The 15-minute city is an eccentric city. It's diverse across socio-economic and professional sectors and is driven by the common good.
So to put that in more layman's terms, it's a city where every resident lives within a 15-minute journey of everything they could possibly want or need. So their groceries, access to medical care, access to a school, access to some sort of cultural entertainment, and their workplace as well. So the idea is to create intimate places instead of unfamiliar spaces.
Now, are there other cities around the world that are going for the same approach?
Of course, so Hidalgo might have popularised the idea, but back in 2017, Melbourne launched its 2017 to 2050 plan, which is based off the idea of a 20-minute city. In China, meanwhile, a national standard came into effect 3 years ago, which told urban planners to integrate 4 levels of residential area, at most requiring a 15-minute walk maximum for all of your living, cultural and material needs to be met. Surprisingly though, perhaps the earliest example we have of this kind of plan actually comes from the US, which isn't necessarily known for its pedestrian-friendly planning. So it's Portland in Oregon, and it's used a 20-minute neighborhood plan for more than a decade.
Now, this sounds like a great idea, but what about implementing it on the ground? I'm sure there are many challenges.
Yeah, of course, it's a very catchy concept and it can score you political points, but it's not without its difficulties. The main one being that providing inclusive and diverse housing is going to be difficult when you are creating these zones with high accessibility, with everything you need and want. Of course, that's going to increase the value, and of course, that's going to make property costs go up and force lower income households to the outskirts. As we know, Portland, Melbourne, and Paris all have this problem.
Thank you, Peter. And of course, you don't get any of these problems if all of your residents are virtual. We're going to leave you with a stunning recreation of Paris by the Korean YouTuber PCF, built entirely in the city planning game City Skylines, which is still going strong 6 years after its release. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.